The founder of a popular Las Vegas moms group is now facing shocking felony charges, accused of horrific child abuse that allegedly spanned nearly 2 years. We're going to break down the damning indictment and the disturbing details this child apparently told a grand jury, all with a Nevada criminal defense attorney who can better explain the case and what could happen next. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. What began as a safe haven for Las Vegas moms, a place to share advice, find support, build a community, has taken a very dark and unexpected turn. A Facebook group that was once filled with parenting tips and playdate recommendations and heartfelt conversations is now under intense scrutiny after its founder was charged with horrifying and deeply disturbing counts of lewdness and child abuse. The founder of the well-known Las Vegas Supermoms group, Christiane Alt, is at the center of a troubling criminal investigation. Why? Alt, who served as the group's administrator and was considered a trusted figure in the local parenting community, was indicted by a grand jury last month on multiple felony charges. According to court documents, the allegations involve inappropriate conduct with a minor, and I'm sorry to say this, believed to be her own child, spanning nearly 2 years from around June 6, 2022 to March 2024. And a fair warning as we get into this, these allegations are deeply, deeply troubling. So to talk about these allegations, I want to bring in Adrian Lobo, criminal defense attorney who practices in Las Vegas, and give us some insight into the court system there. Thank you so much for coming on. First of all, have you heard about this group before? Was it well known? Is it well known?
Yeah, I have personally heard about it, but after looking into it, it seems like it's a very large, well-established group on Facebook. And it broke it, it caused a ripple through that group.
By the way, do you see a lot of child abuse cases? And if so, and we'll get into the details of this one, where does this one rank?
Yeah, I have seen many child abuse cases. I think part of it is obviously spending 4 years in my exactly these allegations. So for sure, I probably have seen a bigger spectrum than most criminal defense attorneys. I can say this one probably ranks, I hate to say, high on the disturbing list, and primarily because of the dynamic of mothers. I think sometimes you see it where it's a stepchild or somebody who's not blood related, but anytime it's the mother with the child, it kind of, strikes a different nerve.
Yeah, it's a different level. So here's what we know so far. July 16th, Christiane Alt was formally indicted by a grand jury on 3 felony charges. So she faces 2 counts of lewdness with a child under the age of 14. That is a serious felony offense under Nevada law. And 1 count of child abuse, neglect, or endangerment. Now, as to count 1, prosecutors allege that Alt engaged in sexual misconduct with a minor by forcing the child to perform specific physical acts. According to the indictment, Alt, quote, did willfully, lewdly, unlawfully, and feloniously commit a lewd or lascivious act upon or with the body or any part or member thereof of a child, to wit, J.A., a child under the age of 14 years, by the defendant, making the said J.A. sit on the defendant's leg and or his body and or his buttocks against the defendant's leg with the intent of arousing, appealing, or gratifying the lust, passions, or sexual desires of defendant or J.A. The second lewdness charge mirrors the first, but it involves different alleged contact. Quote, by the defendant making the said J.A. sit on the defendant's chest and or rub his body and or buttocks against the defendant's chest with the intent of arousing, appealing to, or gratifying the lust, passions, or sexual desires of defendant or J.A. Let's stop right there. Adrian, talking about these charges, they feel quite broad, but also does make me wonder, how do you know what the intent is? How do you know what the intent is, particularly if you're dealing with your own child? There is a physical contact with your own child. I'm sure defense attorneys would say that this is being misconstrued. However, it's also, these charges are specific as to what you need to prove.
Very specific, and they are very serious. I think it's important to point out that this is a very serious charge that requires a license and with the possibility of parole after 10 years. So if she were to go to trial, the judge has absolutely no sentencing discretion. she was treated very harshly in the state of Nevada. And when it bears down on intent, you're going to see things like in the police report that they're captured for a reason. When you talk about gratifying the lusts, passions, and sexual desires of an adult, that's why the facts, the grand jury transcripts and the police reports talking about the behavior that mother, I guess, was demonstrating after the young boy had contact with her. The moaning, the groaning, the placing of a pillow over private parts. Those are really important, although they're distasteful, but a prosecutor must get them out in order to prove that there's something else that's going on here. It wasn't medical care purposes. It wasn't because he was acting out. It wasn't because, he didn't feel good. Any of those things that would maybe could possible acceptable reasons for a parent.
By the way, we put out so many videos of Sidebar a day, every week, even on the weekends, and you yourself might be in the content creation business, posting things on social media. Well, I'll tell you what, we use a platform called Opus Clip. So this is an all-in-one AI editor that makes it easier and faster to cut, create, and upload videos across all social media platforms. Through the power of AI, Opus Clip automatically generates B-roll, and it cleans up audio and reframes your videos for any platform. Opus Clip is so easy to start using. I'm going to show you how right now. All you have to do is go to opus.pro/sidebar, you sign up, and then you upload a video, and in just a few minutes, you'll have tons of perfectly edited clips ready to go. So whether you're making videos for TikTok, Shorts, Instagram Reels, Opus Clip is your one-stop shop for getting your best content seen by more viewers across all these platforms with literally just the press of one button. And if you're wondering how good these AI edited videos are from Opus Clip, just look at our content here at Law&Crime. Our producers have used Opus to help us cut and share clips of some of our most major trials. And having a tool like Opus Clip means we can get you even more viral updates from inside the courtroom faster than ever before. At Sidebar, we know our listeners have a lot of opinions and ideas to share. And this is the most powerful tool there is to help you edit like a pro and grow your own audience. So give it a try for yourself. Go to opus.pro/sidebar to start creating your own videos today. Well, now let's talk about count 3, child abuse, neglect, or endangerment. So prosecutors allege that Alt, quote, did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously cause a child under the age of 18 years, to wit, J.A., being approximately 7 to 10 years of age, to suffer unjustifiable physical pain or mental suffering as a result of abuse or neglect, to wit, negligent treatment or maltreatment of a child, and or cause J.A. to be placed in a situation where he or she might have suffered unjustifiable pain or mental suffering as a result of abuse or neglect, to wit, negligent treatment of a child by verbally abusing J.A. in a manner that caused him to feel unsafe and or unloved and or upset. Now, court records indicate that Alt appeared for arraignment on July 30th, pleaded not guilty, and given the nature of the charges and the fact that this involves a grand jury indictment, now we have to get into the question, Adrian, what does that tell you about how prosecutors are approaching this case?
Well, it's an interesting approach. It's one that I have not seen very often, in the sense that for the allegation of child abuse and neglect, it's that he didn't feel loved or was upset, and they're attacking it from an emotional standpoint, which the statute allows. But that makes things a little bit more gray. In my opinion, I was frankly quite surprised to not see this by way of sexual abuse causing physical and emotional harm to the child, or maltreatment. It feels very vague to me. So I'm kind of confused by that, because I think there's a stronger argument that they did not. Of course, they're privy to more facts than I am by what's available in the public records. I can say that, I think that it's a bit wishy-washy to say that, he didn't feel loved or treated. I think a lot of people have experienced, treatment from parents, or parents have lost their cool and have not felt loved or, upset their child. And to charge that as a felony seems a bit of an overreach in my perspective. However, they should have charged it as the sexual treatment. Or the police report gives rise to the fact that she was allowing other adult individuals to do this. I think they could have charged that. And I'm not quite sure why, if they didn't have enough details from the young boy to substantiate it. But it sounds like that mother was course, allowing other adult individuals to do this to her child.
What does jury selection look like if this actually goes to trial when you're dealing with charges like this?
I would first say, if you're in a situation you go to trial on these facts, meaning that the offer is so high or that the prosecutor does not give any offer, because they certainly do not have to, I think it's going to be very important for a defense attorney to be able to question jurors who had sexual abuse in their family or have been the victims of sexual abuse. And there's going to, of course, be a lengthy discussion as to how all of that unfolded and whether or not those allegations were followed up upon. And I think it's going to be critical for a defense attorney to get anybody out who has been personally affected by sexual abuse in the home.
Now, there's more to this case that we need to get into. The fact that the minor victim at the center of this investigation apparently testified before a grand jury, and transcripts of that testimony that were reviewed by local news affiliate KSNV offer deeply unsettling insight into the alleged abuse straight from the child involved. And according to the transcript, the child told the grand jury that Alt would routinely force them to rub parts of their body against her leg and chest. And these incidents allegedly occurred in Alt's bedroom roughly once a week over the course of 2 years. And the child noted that Alt was not nude during the encounters, typically wearing a tank top and jeans. But in one particularly graphic excerpt, the child described, quote, "My legs were around her, and then she made me, and then a pillow was over her private areas, and then she had her hands like under the pillow." And when asked whether the child was clothed during these incidents, they responded that they were wearing underwear but couldn't recall if they had on a shirt. As for how this pattern of alleged abuse began, well, the child testified that it started unexpectedly. Quote, "She told me I could have iPad time if I do something, and I was like, okay. And then she was wanting me to rub my private areas on her. I didn't want to. It made me feel uncomfortable." The testimony also included details of alleged emotional and physical abuse. The child said they were often punished with spankings, yelling, and being locked in their room, sometimes for hours at a time. But maybe the most heartbreaking part was the child's statements about how they say they were treated, telling prosecutors, because she's mad and she doesn't love or like me, she hates me. The child went on to say that Alt would regularly tell them she didn't love them and that she hated them, reinforcing the emotional toll of what prosecutors allege was ongoing abuse. And in March of 2024, according to the transcripts, the child reported that the alleged abuse to 2 adults. On the same day the report was made, Henderson, Nevada police responded to a welfare check at the home that the child was at that day, an action that was prompted by Alt herself contacting authorities. And during grand jury testimony, a man stated that the child told him about the alleged abuse, and he subsequently relayed those accusations to law enforcement. He also testified that Alt attempted to contact him in an astonishing 242 times in a single day following the allegations. So now we have a lot to break down here, Adrian. First of all, the idea of a minor like this testifying at a grand jury and potentially at a trial, that has enormous weight. And I think it stacks it up against a defendant, right? Because it's going to be very hard for a defense attorney to question the credibility or the recollection, I would imagine, of such a minor. And if you do it the wrong way, that can turn a jury off.
Oh, correct. Absolutely. I would say there's 2 things, right? As an attorney that you definitely would want to explore in this sense. Number one is a custody battle. And I've had many cases where if mom and dad are bickering or arguing, or there's legal proceedings going on, and they want custody of the child or want more child support, oftentimes this is, an impetus for an allegation. I'm not saying that's the case here, but that's something that definitely would need to be explored and developed for trial. The next thing is how you would question a child. Obviously, you've got to have a very delicate approach when you're questioning a child about something like this. The thing that I for sure would explore is it a false memory? And what does mom have to say about this? There is a lot of literature false memories and things of that nature, I think it makes it a bit hard in this case when the child is recalling instances over a 2-year period of time and can point to specifics. In the situations where I have had it been mostly developed through court proceedings. If, there's something that's going on in family court and mom and dad are fighting over custody of the child, of course, then an allegation comes about, is explored, and then leveraged in a family court proceeding to gain custody. I don't know if any of that was going on here, but it sounds like mom and dad, well, let's just say we're not co-parenting in a harmonious way, it seems, before. So that's something for sure that would need to be developed. And a defense attorney is going to have to delicately question a child such as this. And it would be the better approach to bring in an expert on false memories, and et cetera, if that is developed adequately.
If it is true that she attempted to contact this individual 242 times in a single day following the allegations, is that consciousness of guilt? Is that, I realize I might be in trouble and I want to know what's being said about me?
Yeah, I think that for sure the prosecution would pitch it. I think the other thing too is that it seems as though, at least from my 19 years of practicing defense, there's a lot of mental instability going on with this particular defendant as well. And it seems as though she lost control. And so her spiraling or law enforcement being involved and her getting him involved could have backfired in her face. And it seems as though it completely did. And so I think that you can explain it, but yes, it is erratic. And a jury is, of course, going to be looking at and the content of those text messages to say whether or not they think it is, proof of her intent and her guilty. For sure, it will be leveraged in that way.
So on Sunday, August 3rd, Christiane Alt posted a statement in the Las Vegas Supermoms Facebook group, which has, by the way, since been deleted, but a screenshot of the message was shared with Channel 3 News, and it reads, quote, "Many of you have seen posts or rumors being spread about me regarding very serious allegations. I want you to know that I am innocent and fighting these accusations with everything I have. The case is ongoing and the truth will come out in time. Sharing charges without context is harmful and unfair, not just to me, but to my child. I would never harm him, and anyone who knows me knows the kind of mother I am. If you care about me or believe in any kind of justice at all, I ask that you please refrain from sharing or commenting on this while the case is still active. I won't be discussing this further publicly, but I appreciate those who have reached out with kindness and concern." Adrian, what do you make of that statement? Should she have made a statement at all?
The moderator for that group, I think something needed to be said. And if I was her defense attorney, I would be absolutely helping in the crafting and drafting of that statement. And it sounds very PR edited, and to make sure that it's palpable, apologetic, and still not making any sort of admissions. So I'm not surprised that a statement came out because it's large and something needs to be said before it kind of spirals out of control. But I was unaware that the entire group had been deleted as well too. So I'm not surprised by that either, because you're just creating a forum for people to just start running their mouth as most people do.
Yeah. Now, one aspect worth highlighting as potential evidence in this case comes from Alt's now deleted Facebook page. And we reviewed a series of posts where she shared notes or letters that were purportedly written by her child. And the messages included heartfelt sentiments such as, "Hey mom, I think you're the best mom a kid could have. I love you so much in infinity and beyond. I love you, mommy." And then there's a person's name there listed as Sage, "and I will always protect you. Love my mom more than anything." Adrian, what do you make of that? Is that going to help her defense?
I mean, it for sure can. For sure can help the defense. But at the same time, right, that's why there's a trial. Every good fact or bad fact for either side can be marshaled and used in a way. I don't think that there's anything unnatural about a child who is even being sexually abused or physically, mentally, emotionally abused by a parent still loving that parent. I think it's part of their biology, the DNA I think that the prosecution is not going to be worried about that in the slightest bit at all. But I think for sure that the defense should absolutely be using that and exploring it and what the context surrounding those notes are when they were written and, by the child, and why. Because for sure, if the child remembers it, you bet that the prosecutor is going to ask about it and why that was written, or what was the context from a school project. What was it?
So I want to take a closer look at this Facebook group that Alt created, Las Vegas Supermoms. Now, my understanding is the group was launched on June 9th, 2022. So just, days after prosecutors say Alt allegedly committed the first of these horrifying acts. And the group was designed as a supportive space where local moms could seek advice, connect, share parenting tips. And the very first post on the page warmly welcomed members with this description: "Welcome to our public page. We are the Las Vegas Supermoms, Las Vegas's largest group for moms. Come see why over 10K local moms have joined. New mom, expecting mommy to be, foster mom, or veteran empty nester. No matter what category you fall into, you are a supermom. This mommy support group is an accepting, inclusive, and safe space for all. Moms truly have the hardest and most rewarding job on earth, but even supermoms need a little support sometimes. We all need a place to go when we're feeling frustrated, alone, down, need help, need advice, or just need to connect with another mom who understands exactly what you're going through. Moms need this, a place to be heard, to ask questions, or to rant about your hard day without any judgment or prejudice. All moms are welcome here. You are welcome to post any questions, comments, advice, play dates, meetups, pictures, local 411, helpful links. We also let our active members self-promote their businesses. We don't limit our conversations to mom topics either, because let's be real, while motherhood might be our #1 job, we are more than just moms." Now, interestingly, a report from Channel 3 News on August 4th showed the group had more than 28,000 followers and was a private Facebook group. But when we checked just a day later on August 5th, the page had switched to public, and the follower count had dropped dramatically to around just 2,000. That is a significant and sudden change. According to multiple local news outlets, the page was deactivated. So this could be a copycat group. But Adrian, you think that's an important piece of evidence that may come, let me put it this way, do you think it's an important piece of evidence that could come forward at trial, or is it just kind of an interesting detail given the accusations?
I will say, I think it's an interesting detail. However, I'm sure with the allegation that the child made that mom was having him do this to other adults, there is a red flag in my mind that goes up. Is this group being used for that? Are the individuals that were coming to the house and that she was having them, perform these acts, or that her son was doing these behaviors to, are these the people? Is she recruiting from? I think it could be just an interesting detail if that's not the case. I think the numbers dropped substantially is not surprising at all. I really hope that group was not being used for the purposes of finding, I guess, patrons or abusers to come over and, exploit her child.
Yeah. Well, court records indicate that Alt is out on bail with the jury trial set for April 6, 2026. That can obviously move, but we'll keep a careful eye on it. Adrian Lobo, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.